Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 1017 FM and 1510 AM. W269DL Milwaukee and WGKB Waukesha, live from American Family Assurance Studios.
Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Oh no, no. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine. Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Oh no, no. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine.
Yeah, I try to use my God's gift by any means without sacrificing who I truly am. Cause when that pain hit, I rhyme different. But when I let that pain go, I start to shine different. I won't ever switch up, got many reservations, hesitations, a conversation, avoid annihilation. Had dreams to rule the nation. The greatest creation was me, let them heavens be. I'm the one these cats wanna be. If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. I'm a guy, we are not the same. I cannot relate. Tell them get on my level, I'm a rebel, but with a cause. Got a shovel for the devils who won't let the power of laws be. See, I'm the truth. If you think otherwise, you a fool. I got a scar on my chest, I got proof. Could've been dead and in jail, but instead I rebelled, and so I made it out of hell. I shall prevail.
Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine. Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine.
I refuse to dim my light, I'ma shine bright. My whole life I had to fight just to get my mind right. My back against the wall, got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Will I hold it, will I fall? See, every situation you get a chance to be a victim or a victor. You better seek help, get you a mentor. You better dig deep, deep to the core. Remember that this battle in life is not yours, it's the Lord's. Having conversations with God because he let me beat the odds. I trust him, see that's my ride or die. And we don't do no negative thoughts, no bad energy around this way. It's all positive vibes. I had to question myself if I was ready for help, but then I prayed and God was like, hey, let me show you what's next. I hit up Dre like, Dre, please won't you send me your best? He like, bet, we gon' get us a check.
Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Oh no, no. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine. Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine.
Your ways are similar to the rays of the sun. Warm to many, but too strong for some. The more you are needed, the brighter you shine. Wanted for too long and your brilliance will bind the eyes of mortal men who threaten you with doom. The regret to see you set, but it is time for the moon. Strength is overcome by weakness. Joy is overcome by pain. The night is overcome by brightness. And love, it remains the same. Tupac Shakur, the sun and the moon. I see you shining. Don't dim your light for nobody. Peace, God.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct at the award-winning 1017 The Truth at the beautiful American Family Insurance Studio in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. And if you are just now tuning in, before I hopped on, Homer kept telling me and Z that we got to play some jazzy music. I have not rapped in so many years. However, that song is something that was very special to me. Shout out to Business Boy, Grammy Award-winning Business Boy, Milwaukee's own Business Boy, and Mikey V. I actually created that song during my breast cancer recovery while I was in the Mayan ruins in Tulum. And that is my daily affirmation for today, to shine. Despite of whatever it is that you're dealing with, despite of the weight of the world being on your shoulders, whatever it is that you are going through, shine through it. That's what we were made for. Again, happy Thursday, Milwaukee. You are officially tapped in. Today, I want you to listen with your thinking caps because we have several national and local conversations that deserve more than a headline and a hot take. Before I jump into what we're talking about today, I just want to highlight that right now, apparently, Trump has declared national emergency to lock foreign equipment out of the U.S. power grid. So on August 26th, yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order declaring a national emergency over the security of the U.S. bulk power system. The legal authority, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and the National Emergencies Act, the practical effect, federal power to block or condition purchases of foreign produced grid equipment, software, and firmware that pose cybersecurity or operational risk. This isn't a policy memo, it's enforcement. And this is according to Yahoo News, what the order actually does. So the order bars or conditions transactions involving foreign produced bulk power equipment where risk includes sabotage, unauthorized access, malicious remote action, or in the White House own words, catastrophic effects on critical infrastructure. The scope covers examples such as transformers and control systems, along with associated software, firmware, and digital capabilities tied to covered foreign entities. Though the full definition of bulk power system equipment in the order is broader than any short list can capture, local electricity distribution facilities are excluded. But if your utility operates transmission infrastructure, and virtually every major operator does, compliance questions just landed on your team's desk. So, this is something that we're gonna have to break down a little bit more. I just seen this literally as I was heading into the station. It popped up on my news feed, and yeah, we got to talk about that. Probably not today because I want to dig into it a little bit more so that I can fully understand what this means for the people here in America and how this affects us. I know as soon as we see power grid, we automatically think that it's pertaining to our electricity, right? But obviously there's so much more that goes into the U.S. power grid. So we're going to have to take time to discuss that. But at 5 o'clock, we are going into our main subject for today. And I want the parents, if you are listening, even if you aren't a parent, I need you guys to call in today so we can have this conversation. Should schools notify parents before formally teaching students about non-binary identities and gender-related pronouns? I am not using that hour to attack anybody, and I am not using it to campaign for anybody either. I want facts, stats, history, parental rights, educational responsibility, and enough nuance for grown people to disagree without disrespecting each other. So we're going to talk about that at 5 o'clock. Before we get to 5, I want to establish the theme underneath today's news, right? Accountability. We give institutions an enormous amount of authority, Police departments have technology ordinary citizens don't have, and that's obvious. Schools get to make decisions involving children for 6 or 7 hours a day. Technology companies have sophisticated systems designed to hold our attention. So the question I want to follow through this first hour is simple. When somebody has power, information, or influence over your life, what transparency should come with that power? The crazy thing about it is we all know how the government in America works, right? We've asked for transparency numerous of times, but obviously when it comes to politics, government, government and media, they tend to tell the world whatever it is that they want to tell us, right? When we should be panicking, they make it seem like we shouldn't. And when we shouldn't be panicking, they make it seem like we should be, right? So we never know what we're going to get, which is the purpose of us discussing this, because at the end of the day, the most important thing we can do is just stay ready so we don't have to get ready, right? Let's start with the surveillance. Automatic license plate readers can take pictures of the plates and make those sightings searchable. I seen in the news that the lady who was stopped from that flock system on the highway, guns drawn, because it located her license plate and connected it to a homicide that had already been removed from her vehicle or was supposed to. She currently just lawyered up. So she's planning to sue, I believe, the city of Milwaukee for that wrongdoing, right? So obviously, the flock systems were created so that they can help investigators locate stolen vehicles, identify vehicles connected to serious crimes, and potentially develop leads in missing person cases, right? I also want to acknowledge that public safety value is first, because a serious conversation has to begin with what the technology can actually do rather than assuming every use is automatically good or automatically bad. The reality is we are living in a day and age where they're going to use technology regardless, right? The flock system is no different than the iPhones you have. It's no different than the smart TVs that you guys have, that we all have, right? So we know that to some degree, there is no privacy. And anything we do in this country, there is absolutely no privacy whatsoever. The question is, who can access it? What are they doing once they have this information, and how that access is documented, and what happens when somebody uses public resources for a personal reason? Technology itself does not get jealous. It doesn't hold grudges. It does not become curious about an ex. Humans do. So every powerful database needs safeguards built around human behavior. So what I want you to do is imagine your vehicle is captured in one part of the town in the morning, another area in the afternoon, and somewhere else at night. One image might not say much. Enough images can begin to establish a pattern. Now imagine somebody searching that information even though you aren't suspected for committing a crime. That is where a public safety tool can become a privacy concern, and that's why oversight cannot simply be an afterthought. So here's the question for you all. 833-212-1017. How much privacy are you willing to exchange for safety? How much privacy are you willing to exchange for safety? That is huge, right? That is huge because we all want to be safe, but we all want privacy as well. So we got to go to break. Stay right there. After the break, I want to hear from you. Let's talk about it. But we are also talking about children, phones, algorithms, and attention. Then before 5, I am going to clearly set the table for our main education conversation so nobody misunderstands what we are debating. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
At UW Credit Union, our home loans have everything you need for your next big step, including up to $750 off closing costs for all home buyers. And first-time buyers can save even more. So if you're ready to trade roomies for more room, or your townhome for an out-of-town home, UW Credit Union will be with you from start to furnished. UW Credit Union. Apply online today. Equal housing lender. Credit may be limited as required by program. Visit uwcu.org for details.
There's a little time left in the summer, and there's still so much to get involved in as we end the summer safe. Milwaukee youth ages 12 to 18 can tap into free safe summer sites, activities, food, music, sports, creative experiences, and free youth events happening all across the city. There's something to do, somewhere to go, and something new happening every week. Visit tapinmke.com. That's tapinmke.com. Milwaukee, let's end the summer safe and start the school year right.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, 1017 The Truth. Follow your girl on Instagram, The Jazzy Effect. That's TheJazzieEffect. Before we went to break, we were talking about Trump declaring a national security for the power grid, as well as the topic for today at the 5 o'clock hour. But right now we are going to talk about this Meta settlement. So apparently Wisconsin is supposed to receive $219 million in this Meta settlement. Meta is the company that owns the social media platforms. I don't know if they own TikTok or not, but I know that they do own Instagram and Facebook. So according to the Wisconsin Politics, Attorney General Josh Call says the state will use its $219 million in funds from the Meta lawsuit settlement for various youth mental health programming efforts, right? The reason why I wanted to read that slowly is because we always get information pertaining to there being some type of disbursement when it comes to the mental health of our youth. If this is something that they say that they are going to do, then we, the people, need to make sure we are a part of this discussion as far as how the funds are spent, because we are with the youth, whether we are teaching them, whether we are raising them, or whether we are in the community. And obviously the conversations we've been having all the time, right? Especially the past couple of weeks when it comes to the mental health state of our babies. It is important that we understand where this money is going. $219 million is a lot of money. It also stated that there's no doubt that this settlement is historic, but it is also my sincere hope that this is an inflection point, Carl said. He added that he hoped other big tech firms and social media companies beyond Meta will hear our message that we are committed to getting accountability from social media companies that engage in conduct that harms our children. A lawsuit filed by 47 states claimed that the Meta platforms, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, knowingly added features to foster social media addiction among children and made false claims about the safety of its products. Now, I know there is a lot of back and forth about who's wrong or who's right when it comes to the access that our children have with social media. A lot of people like to say, obviously, it's up to the parents, right? We do have a part in that. Me personally, I agree. My daughter loves her tablet, right? But I limit the amount of time she's on the tablet. I also am not a fan of Roblox, so I do not allow her to play Roblox or anything like that. But I do think it's important that you talk to your children about the use of social media, not just because of things that's being added for them to be addicted, but because there's a lot that happens. There's predators. That's how a lot of the beef start with, especially these older children as well. So the parents does have a part in that. But what frustrates me the most is that there's a lawsuit. It's almost like those commercials. It's like those commercials that say, hey, did you take this medicine that the doctor gave you to help you? Well, but it has all of these side effects. Call now. You're entitled to a lawsuit. Well, the medicine shouldn't have been given to us in the first place, right? I was okay without social media. Now, what I will say is, what I do appreciate about it is you get to rekindle relationships. You find people that you haven't seen in so many years and so on and so on. But however, I think we all can agree that life was much better prior to social media. So again, it goes back to the point of they continue to feed us poison. And then later on say, hey, basically we'll compensate you for it. The article goes on to say, as a part of the settlement, Meta will also implement a slew of safety features for users between the ages of 13 and 17, including stricter age verification measures, a daily time limit, and additional content restrictions. The entire settlement is $17 billion. And Call said that the state could receive up to $313 million in settlement funds if the agreements are met with TikTok and YouTube. He also said that the DOJ will spend the next few weeks looking into how the funds can most effectively help kids. So my issue with that is the money is being given to the very system that does absolutely nothing for our babies to begin with. So we have to make sure that the money lands in the right hands. What do I mean by that? We need to have more conversations, not just this specific settlement or the $313 million, but when it comes to money in this state, period, and it's pertaining to how it affects our youth, we need to be involved. If there's people in Madison that can attend these hearings, they need to go. If it's people in Milwaukee that can attend these hearings, they need to go. There needs to be a conversation about how we can utilize these funds, especially for those who are boots on the ground here in the city of Milwaukee doing the work to actually help the youth through their mental health crises, right? We're not talking about just some addiction to social media. We're talking about the fact that these funds can really be utilized for real services. He also said that this could take the form of crisis intervention services, digital literacy counselors, grants to school districts, and after-school programming. So my advice to those who are boots on the ground or people who are into assisting the youth with mental health is, if you don't got your ducks lined up, get them lined up, right? If this is something that you're passionate about, helping the youth with mental health, addiction, all of the above, get your business in order. The way I view this article, if we have $313 million coming into the state of Wisconsin to assist youth with mental health, and they're talking about taking the form of crisis intervention services, digital literacy counselors, grants to school districts, and after-school programming, that means that we, Black people, because our babies are affected the most, we have the opportunity to earn some of this income to provide these services. The kind of massive settlement amount, he said this kind of massive settlement amount, as well as these kind of game-changing changes in how these platforms do their business with respect to the kids who are online, is going to fundamentally change the role that social media plays in kids' life. Additionally, Carr said the DOJ will be responsible for assessing the precise allocation of the fund. So, the Department of Justice, I'm telling you guys this for a reason so we can know who to hold accountable. The Department of Justice is responsible for assessing the precise allocation of the funds. So they're responsible for dispersing the funds. Once the funds reach Wisconsin, to my knowledge, it's going to go to Carr. Then there's going to be a system where it trickles down. Obviously, it has to be dispersed throughout the entire state. But when you follow the money, you follow the trail. Carr and the legislator have been at odds over settlement funds since Republicans in late 2018 gave lawmakers new oversight over the money through the Joint Finance Committee. The state Supreme Court ruled last month that Carr has the power to deposit uncommitted settlement funds into accounts controlled by the Department of Justice rather than putting that money into the state general fund overseen by lawmakers. Why is that important? Because if he decides to put it in the state general fund that is overseen by lawmakers, there is a chance that we won't see a lot of that money, in which we should, because again, our children are affected the most by this, right? When we're talking about addiction, and it's crazy that I'm not trying to complain because we need the funds, right? And yes, not just youth, adults are addicted to social media as well, but it's crazy how we have all of these funds for addiction to social media, but not addiction to drugs, right? There are so many youth who are addicted to drugs, and there are services. But I truly believe that these funds should not be dedicated specifically to mental health for social media. No, it needs to be broader. It needs to be mental health services overall. And maybe I misread that wrong, but as of right now, it kind of feels like it's just pertaining to that. So again, my call to action with this specific article is for us to get our ducks in the row. If you want to assist youth, or if you already are assisting youth, especially when it comes to mental health, get your LLCs together, get your nonprofits together, and figure out how this money is going to trickle down and who is going to trickle down through. That way we can do the work that we need to do. We have to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to finish this conversation. I am going to set the table for the 5 o'clock hour. I want parents, teachers, grandparents, and even students listening. We are asking whether schools should notify parents before formally teaching non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns. And we are going to define exactly what teaching means before anybody starts going back and forth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving, you're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/VersityOnKing to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
They're your enemies. Then you got some other like, okay, they're your enemies, but in real life, they eyes is on your money. So your enemies that say they're true, but in real life, them niggas be snitches. It's a dirty game, y'all. Y'all got to be careful about who you fuck with and who you don't fuck with. Cause it's this shit out, y'all. Keep your mind on your riches, baby. Keep your mind on your riches. 911, it's an emergency. Cops tried to murder me from the hood to the burbs.
101.7 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. I'm sorry. That is one of my favorite Tupac songs. If you are just now joining us, before we went to break, I was explaining that Wisconsin is supposed to receive $219 million in the Meta lawsuit settlement. And Call stated that the Attorney General stated that this is going to be dispersed throughout the state to assist with mental health, right, for our youth. And I was explaining that we the people, need to make sure that we have all of our ducks lined up in a row so that we can receive some of this funding, since these are our babies and we are currently doing the work. Shout out to the chat. RC says America needs to add onto its $40 trillion debt. Get the reparations taken care of. The harm done to their children descendants. Just saying. Hey, listen, I don't agree or disagree. I feel you. And shout out to Meat Shed. Them kids come first. Absolutely. The babies come first. Which leads me into, something that is very sensitive, but it's something that I'm okay with talking about because I'm not a politically correct person and it needs to be talked about. The question is, if a school plans to formally teach students what non-binary means, or to introduce gender identity concepts or teach pronouns in that context, should parents receive advance notifications? Notice the words formally teach. That means a planned lesson is different from a student asking a spontaneous question, right? This is a curriculum unit. This is something that is different. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they were doing this in Chicago. And I mean, actually teaching like the curriculum. So not just, talking about it, not students just asking a question, but they were actually making this a part of the curriculum. And I was at work today. Y'all know I'm gonna keep it real people, real conversations. I was at work today at the school, and there was a situation where students were left outside for a certain amount of hours because they were late. And I was advocating for the students to be able to enter into the school, A, because they're on 4th and North, B, because we want them inside of the school, and C, because they kept explaining that their parents had already called, right, and stated that they were late. Some parents did, some parents didn't. Either way, a parent pulled up. And when the way she pulled up, I knew she mean business. And as I was talking to the CEO, and we were having a conversation about it, and he was also standing out there as well, just to make sure that the children were safe. She mentioned something that caught my attention. And what she said was, why are y'all teaching our students non-binary pronouns without notifying the parents first? So I asked my students, like, hey, was y'all being taught this in orientation? And they was like, well, we have teachers here who are transgender and wanted to be, called whatever they want to be called. So I think the conversation was just more so telling them to respect that and not to do the opposite, because we know how, youth can be. But obviously the parent was upset. And I have two stance on this not two stance, but I have a stance on this because I am a parent, but also an educator. And it brought me to this topic today. I want to hear from the parents. I want to hear from educators. I want to hear from the youth. I want to hear from people who aren't parents. 833-212-1017. If a school plans to formally teach students what non-binary means, introduce gender identity concepts, or teach pronouns in that context, should parents receive advance notification? So I also want to separate notification from permission. Those are not the same policies, right? A school can tell a parent, hey, this lesson is coming next week, without allowing the parent to remove the child. Another policy could provide both notice and an opt-out. So when somebody says parents have a right to know, I want to ask no only or no and veto. Age is going to matter in this as well. Would your answer be identical for a first grader, a seventh grader, and a high school senior? If not, where does the line change? One reason these debates become so explosive is because people use the phrase children are being taught without saying whether they are talking about 6-year-olds or 17-year-olds. So obviously the context matter. My personal opinion, I truly believe that, and this is just for the curriculum across the board, right? When you're talking about something like this, especially because there are certain religions inside of schools, certain belief systems set up as well, and just for the fact that our babies are already exposed to so much in real life through music and social media, there absolutely should be some type of notification sent out to parents regarding something like this. Even if you're not teaching the curriculum, even if there isn't a full curriculum there, right? Now, you don't have to go above and beyond and say, hey, I want to notify you and let you know that we have 2 transgender teachers in the school, right? Because then that would be, set them apart. And I can imagine it's part of discrimination, whatever the case may be. But if you are going to attempt to bring it up, talk to the students about it in any shape or form, the parents need to be notified. So what scares me the most is the fact that the school system has so much power to where a parent can only question it, but it does not determine whether or not they're going to continue to teach this. That part is the part that I have a problem with. We have a caller on the line. Brandon, are you there?
I am.
Thank you so much for calling. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. You have a comment about whether or not this should be taught inside of the school systems, or if parents should be notified?
Yeah, I want to be respectful of anybody that does identify as LGBTQ. However, I think it's certainly not something that should be taught in our schools. When you look at the pushback on curriculum that might teach things like the history of slavery or colonialism, I think if we are debating those kinds of concerns, LGBT issues and identity should not be in that discussion, considering I think one is a lot more paramount. I also think when you look at the sheer number of hours children are spending at school, it's akin to about 40 to 50 hours a week. And these kids are not coming out with adequate reading, math, and STEM-related skills. So we're clearly not focusing enough time on things that matter. So just on the level, we should not be even considering something like this. We should be doubling down on the skills that are preparing these kids for the future, not something like this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brandon, for tapping in with us and giving your take on this. This is something that we talk about in privacy, right? We talk about it in our households. We don't talk about it publicly. Some of us do, but some of us don't, because it's such a sensitive subject. But here's my take on it, right? I have a daughter who's a part of that community, and she still identifies as a young lady, my oldest daughter. However, that does not change my outlook on how much exposure should be given to the youth, right? Especially when they are in a household where that isn't around, where they aren't familiar with it. Now, everybody can do whatever it is that they want to do. Again, I think the society has become so sensitive to this situation, because a lot of people inside of that community, some of them feel as if it's almost as if we don't have rights either. And we do, right? We are parents as well. But the flip side of that is I know a lot of people in that community who agree with this also, who agree with the fact that it's one thing for people to be the way that they are. It's another when you attempt to force something on a child. And when we're talking about force, we're talking about development, right? The developmental stage of a child's mind and how much information they're receiving at what age, right? A lot of our babies aren't able to process certain information early on. They don't understand. And that's where adults come in at. So in the event, this is now, let's just be clear. Working in a school, especially with high school students, you see a lot of this, right? This is more than I've ever seen, even when I was in school, right? And you see it not just with the young men, but with the young ladies as well. And sometimes you don't even know because you'll be surprised. A lot of them aren't flamboyant or anything like that. So it's not like it's a secret in high school. It's not like they aren't able to express themselves or anything like that, right? The issue is simply this. Why aren't you notifying the parents when it comes to this being taught? And not just this subject. That makes me wonder as a parent, right? What else is being discussed? That means that parents should be notified about the curriculum in general at the beginning of the school year. That's my personal opinion. The last time I checked, we don't get notifications about whatever it is that our children are going to be learning for that school year. They feel that a lot of the older children are responsible enough to tell us that's not always the case. And we know that because some of them don't even do their homework. Where is the communication between the school system and the parents, right? Y'all send notifications out when y'all want y'all senior fees. Y'all send notifications out when, there's a suspension or issues. But what about the curriculum? What about the educational piece? So suppose a history teacher discusses Bayard Rustin and accurately says that Rustin was a homosexual and that his sexuality affected his public role in the civil rights movement. Is that an LGBTQ instruction requiring notification, or is it complete Black history? Suppose a novel includes a non-binary character. Is defining a word so students understand the text the same as a dedicated lesson on gender identity, right? Then there's the other side. Suppose a middle school health class schedules an entire unit specifically explaining sex, gender identity, transgender identity, and non-binary identity. A parent may say, that's not incidental. That's formal instruction on a subject connected to values in my home, and I want to know before it happens. That's a materially different scenario, and we are going to test whether your answer changes that or not. So before we continue this conversation, we have to go to break. When we come back, one final reset before the top of the hour, and then we're going all the way in 5 o'clock. The right to know. What does a school owe a parent when sensitive subjects enter the curriculum? It's your girl Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
Milwaukee College Prep is redefining what's educationally possible so more children can pursue their dreams. Thursday, October 1st, join them at Venue 3 at 3rd Street Market Hall for Take a Stand, an inspiring event dedicated to closing the opportunity gap for Milwaukee scholars. Come enjoy great food and drinks and learn more about Milwaukee College Prep's impact. And take a stand by investing in the future of our children. Purchase your tickets or make a donation today at 2026 takeastand.givesmart.com.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says,
avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it,
he finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I 1017 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. We are 11 minutes away from the 5 o'clock hour, so let me give you the cleanest version of this question that we are going to be discussing this evening. Should schools be required to notify parents before formal classroom instruction about non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns? This is not a referendum on whether people exist. It is a question about curriculum transparency. Not even just about curriculum. You know, anytime that is brought up, right? Is this something that parents should be, notified about? And the reason why I say that is because you can have curriculum and then you can have teachers who are transgender, and whoever the leader is of that school, it is their responsibility to tell the children, hey, this is a situation. We want to respect their decision and we want you to treat them how you treat everybody else, right? That's still a conversation being had. I still believe that parents should be notified. Anytime, right, that you have a situation like this, because we know the immaturity of children, and we also know that families have certain belief systems, et cetera, there should be some type of notification. I'm not saying that you have to put the teachers on blast or single them out, but we still should be notified because, again, not every student is exposed to things of this nature. Not every student is exposed to, the LGBT community or, sex, any of those type of things. So you just want to be careful to be able to make this decision without taking the parents into consideration. I think just truly shows that it's not old school. It's not really about the families or the kids no more. It's about whatever the schools feel like they can or can't do because they are in control. So one thing I want everybody to remember is that the schools serve families who do not share one belief system. So some families are Christian, some are Muslim, some are Jewish, some are atheists, some are politically conservative, some liberal, some don't care about politics at all, right? A school system has to educate children across all differences. So that makes parental rights both important and complicated because parents are not simply spectators in their children's lives. We're not sitting back just watching, right? We are actually raising our children. And at the same time, the public education system cannot realistically create a completely separate curriculum for every family's worldview. So I want to take the word curriculum out for a minute because I believe that we all have an understanding that when it comes to our students being taught this, that absolutely we should be notified. But in the event that there is no curriculum and that there are, people who are non-binary who are teaching inside of these schools, and there are conversations being had with students about how they need to behave, how they need to address them, so on and so on. The reason why it's important, it goes back to what Mech said. The babies come first, right? Because everybody forgot to ask these children how they feel. Are they comfortable? Are they confused? Do they understand? Do they have the knowledge? Have they been taught this already? Do they even know what this means? And I say this because I've been having these conversations with my youth all day about this since this incident happened. And nobody ever asked them how they feel. Nobody ever asked them, is it uncomfortable for them? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because everybody get their pennies in a bunch when we have these conversations. They all automatically assume that we're trying to attack the LGBT community. That is not the case. It is not about grown adults. It's about the children. It's about the children. If you had instructors coming in who are Muslim, right? To a lot of Christians, they may take offense to that. They may feel like they don't want their child being taught by someone who studies a different religion just because their belief system is different. So why can't we have the same conversation when it comes to the LGBT community? And now this is a parent talking, right? This is a parent. If these conversations are going to be had with my child, let alone a curriculum or whatever, yes, I want to be notified in advance. Yes, because I want to protect my child, especially if it's a conversation that I haven't even had the opportunity to talk to them about yet. Especially when they are at such a vulnerable age and they don't really understand certain things. And although they are teenagers and they're older, right? They're not slow. We understand that they do, know these things. But to what extent? Again, not every child is being brought up the same in every household. So the public education cannot realistically create a completely separate curriculum for every family's worldview. So the real work is deciding which decisions belong to parents and which belong to educators and which require some shared standard. So the federal law gives parents important rights involving education records and certain sensitive surveys. But those laws don't magically answer every modern curriculum dispute. That's why states, districts, and courts continue debating the boundaries. When somebody tells you the answer is legally obvious everywhere in America, you need to be cautious. Education law is heavily shaped by state law in specific circumstances. So it all depends on your state. I looked up some stats and the polling tells us what people think. It does not tell us what is morally or legally correct. So if 54% support an opt-out, that means a majority in that survey supported it. It doesn't mean that the other 40% disappeared, right? Numbers should help us understand the disagreement, not replace the argument. So at 5, we are going to define non-binary in neutral language, then move immediately to the parental notification question. We're going to talk about opt-outs, age, classroom context, and whether teaching that something exists constitutes endorsement. Then we're going into Black history because complete history sometimes includes people whose identities make modern audiences uncomfortable. I want callers to come with reason, not reactions, not being impulsive. If you say parents should always be notified, tell me what triggers that notification, right? The topic, the age, the teacher's intent. If you say no notification is necessary, then I want to know why as well. That is how you know whether you have a principle or simply a preference. A principle should still make sense when it protects somebody you disagree with. If you want opt-outs for your religious beliefs, what happens when another parent requests an opt-out from Black history because of their beliefs? This is tricky. That's not a negotiation for me. Black history needs to be taught in all schools because we built this country. Period, point blank. Doesn't matter how you sum it up. Doesn't matter how you feel about it. We built this country. Brick by brick, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. We are the history of this country. There would be no America without Black history. Not February, not 28 days. We're talking year round. So Black history most definitely needs to be taught inside the schools. That shouldn't be an option because it wasn't an option for us to work. It wasn't an option for us to be slaves. None of that was option. And I'm going to be transparent. You have the option to choose in today's world what it is that you want to be. That, on the other hand, is a choice. And that necessarily is up to, I guess, according to stats, the state, whether or not they want to choose it. But most importantly, if I was in labor, if I carried my child for 9 months and I was in labor for my oldest son, I was in labor for 23 hours. Okay. My oldest daughter, I was in labor for 7 hours. And my youngest daughter, I was in labor for 5 hours. If I've been in labor and I've carried these children, there is no way that you're going to dictate everything when it comes to what my children learn. This is how parents think. This is how I think. And then I think about signing that birth certificate. Once you sign that birth certificate, you are formally handing your child over to the state. We are all state property. Anybody who has a birth certificate is state property. If you have a social security card, you are state property. This is why each state believes that when it creates these systems, they can do whatever it is that they want to when it comes to curriculum, when it comes to having conversations, when it comes to teaching our students whatever it is that they want, because we all are state property. That is a harsh reality. Just because we are state property does not mean that us parents should not have a say-so about the information our children receive. Period. There should be some type of, again, notification. So we got to go to break. When we return at 5, I'm opening up the national numbers. And then I'm asking Milwaukee to answer one question without hiding behind politics. What does a parent have a right to know? Do not touch that dial. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
It's National Sandwich Month, the perfect time to celebrate what Cousin Subs does best, great sandwiches. Since 1972, we've been making subs with fresh baked bread, sliced meats and cheeses, and ingredients prepared fresh when you order. Whether you're craving a classic favorite, something grilled to order, or a deli fresh creation, there's a Cousin Sub made for every taste. Celebrate National Sandwich Month with a sandwich made the way it should be. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a united way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to healthcare and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom,
She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha, live from American Family Insurance Studios.
101.7 The Truth. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. You are officially tapped in. Are your finances low, your mindset off track, or are you ready to get into real estate? Tune in to The Journey with Coach Erica every first and third Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon on 101.7 The Truth. It's all about mindset, money, and real estate, helping you take the next step toward building a better future. Truth Nation, if you are just now tuning in, we are talking about whether or not should schools notify parents before formally teaching students about non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns. And speaking of this, your president put out, I think he did a press release today, press conference today or yesterday. Z, let's roll the clip and see what the Orange Man got to say.
One of these radical betrayals, and we're putting the parents back in charge. They're the ones that love our children. They're the ones that should be in charge. Every public school in America is now on notice that if they tell a child that they're trapped in the wrong body, they are committing child abuse. From the very beginning of our country, Americans have understood that there's no job more important than teaching our children to become happy, healthy, proud, productive, and flourishing citizens. And unfortunately, in the 4 years I took office, and since I took office, our educational system itself was really, it was incredibly, before I got here, it was weaponized like everything else in our government. Everything was weaponized against the goals that we all stand for. And under the last administration, extreme ideologies such as critical race theory and transgender insanity were forced upon our children as young as 4 and 5 years old. Transgender didn't work. Students were taught that our heroes are villains. The FBI was used to target patriotic parents at school board meetings. And meanwhile, far too many government-run schools failed at the basics. And you just have to look at the charts. They were failing at a thing called education, with only 30% of the students proficient in reading and math. That was under the last administration. Under the Trump administration, we're systematically ending every single one of these radical left betrayals, and we're putting the parents back in charge. They're the ones that love our children. They're the ones that should be in charge. So immediately upon taking office, I signed an executive order to ban.
So, let's catch that last part right quick.
That was a big deal. We banned men from playing in women's sports. That was so easy to do. I don't get it. They're still arguing. They're still fighting. I saw it.
So, if you are just now tuning in, we are talking about whether or not should schools notify parents before formally teaching students about non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns. What you just heard was a clip from Trump's press conference today. So I am obviously feeling away because he talked about the critical race theory, which is an academic and legal framework created in the 70s and 80s that examines how systemic racism is embedded in laws, legal systems, and institutions rather than just existing as individual prejudice. I am wholeheartedly against them banning that because the truth is the truth. Now, when it comes to the second part of what he said, I have no issue with that. And the reason being is because no adult should be enforcing anything on a child based off of their own decision when it comes to their identity, right? You're not even allowing the child to grow up to choose its own identity. That I am against, most definitely. When we're talking about whether or not the school should, notify parents about if they're going to have a conversation or teach non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns, I do believe that there should be some type of notification going out to the parents. The parent that came to the school today was hot. She didn't even come up there for that. But because she had them, in front of her, it became a topic. And as an educator, as a leader, I'm not taking up for anybody. I understand that they want to cater to everybody and make everybody comfortable. Yes, we all are human. But at the end of the day, if I send my child to your school, that's just like sex education. I don't even know if they teach it in school anymore. We had it when I was in high school, and my mom most definitely was notified about it. There was a notification or there was something sent home letting her know that, hey, this is coming up in our curriculum. This is what we're going to be teaching. Not just overall, but like it broke it down. There was some type of notification sent out. That is not the case anymore, right? And if you're just tuning in before I went to break, I said a harsh reality. Yes, we carried our babies for 9 months. Yes, we was in labor for however many hours. Yes, we raised our children. But the moment we sign that birth certificate, we are officially state property. That means that the state can do whatever it wants, including teach whatever it wants. And if you don't like it, you have to remove your child. Does it make it fair? Absolutely not. Right? And especially for Black educators, if you are in leadership, despite of whatever your sexuality is, you have a responsibility inside of your community to make sure that you notify parents, especially if the demographic you serve are majority Black. Because we all know that this information is sensitive. We know, we understand. Again, we want everybody to feel comfortable. But children are immature. And not only that, nobody's asking them if they're uncomfortable or if they're comfortable with this. Nobody's even asking them how they feel about it whatsoever, let alone talking to the families about it. That's the part that I have a problem with, not just as an educator, but as a parent first. So let's define this term. And obviously, I'm not saying it or talking at you guys because you know what this means. But there are some of my students who are listening. There are some people who may not know what the exact definition is. I want you to think about it in the sense of, if this was your child in school being told certain things without your knowledge. Non-binary is a term some people use when their gender identity is not exclusively male or female. Some non-binary people use they and them pronouns while others use different pronouns. So when we talk about non-binary, we're saying that there's a conversation from educators being had with students because there are teachers in the building or staff in the building who fits this, right? They are non-binary. If they were a man last year, but they're a woman this year, they want to be called a woman. So, and that's a real scenario. And the reason why I say that is because when they go through these transitions, it's happening in real time in front of the students. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I'm not politically correct, and I'm going to speak facts. is happening in real time in front of these babies. So if you were Mr. So-and-so last year and this year you're Mrs. So-and-so, there most definitely should be a conversation or a notification sent to the families. Not saying that, hey, they're going through this, but just that, hey, we're going to have a conversation about this at the beginning of the school year so that students will know to respect this person or this staff's decision. But can you understand how that can be a little bit much for a child coming back to school, right? They don't talk to the, like, some children may not even have this teacher. Some may not see this teacher throughout the summer break or whatever, and they come back and there's a change and there's no notification about this being a conversation being had with the students or anything. Yes, that is a problem. The fact that you didn't notify the families that you were going to be talking about this or preparing the students for this is a problem. Now let's get into stats. Pew Research Center found in a national polling that 54% of U.S. adults said parents should be able to opt their children out of learning about LGBTQ-related topics at school. Roughly a third said parents should not have that ability. That is a meaningful divide. A majority supported an opt-out, but millions of Americans did not. So that means that majority of the parents say, yes, we want to opt out. They're not saying you can't teach it. We're just saying that we want the choice. We want to have a choice to opt out. And that's personalized based off of your child. How uncomfortable they are or how comfortable they are. Because at the end of the day, the children comes first. I talk to some children who are okay. They have no issues. But then there are some children who are uncomfortable. And God forbid that they say anything about being uncomfortable, they're probably going to get kicked out of school. You understand why this is an issue? You understand why this needs to be a conversation had with the parents ahead of time? When I was coming up, our teachers did house visits, right? What is it to call a parent? Hey, I just want to notify you that we will be having this discussion with your child regarding non-binary and pronouns, not just because of staff, but because of other students. We want everyone to feel respected. We just wanted to give you the courtesy to let you know that this is going to take place and allow that parent to say, is there a chance for me to opt out? If that's what they want to do, or, okay, thank you so much for letting me know. Because 9 times out of 10, some of the parents, they probably won't opt out, but they're going to if you do not notify them in advance. Not every parent wants their children exposed to certain things. That is the reality. People feel away, and I'm going to get backlash for it, but I'm a parent. I'm with the daughter who's a part of that community, and I'm telling you the truth. We have to be careful what we are teaching our children, most importantly. And I'm not talking about that community. I'm talking about more so of the fact that we're showing them that they don't matter. How they feel don't matter. Some of them are caught off guard and they don't even know how to express themselves because society has made it so difficult for people who are not a part of that community to express themselves on how they feel and how they receive it when it comes to these children. We got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to dig into more research surrounding the students and the teachers. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
At UW Credit Union, we have best-in-class technology and peopleology. Like if you lose your card, you can stop by in-branch for a same-day replacement, or you can have a new one instantly issued to the app. So whether you prefer interacting with our snappy online interface or our in-person regular faces, UW Credit Union is always here for every you. And whichever you choose, it's the best of both worlds. Join today at uwcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Milwaukee Public School families, the first day of school is Tuesday, September 1st, and there's still time to enroll. MPS offers programs to fit every learner, including bilingual, Montessori, special education, and more. All MPS students receive free breakfast and lunch. Enroll today at milwaukeepublicschools.org/enrollment or visit MPS Student Services at 5225 West Vliet Street, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you for choosing MPS.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
1017 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct at the award-winning 1017 The Truth. If you are just now joining us, my question today is: should schools be allowed to teach students about non-binary identities or gender-related pronouns without properly notifying the parents first? And I was just doing some research and found that more parents believe that they should have the right to opt out of this, right? And I want to remove the word curriculum, because curriculum is something that's a little different. To my knowledge, it has not been implemented yet in the state of Wisconsin. I know that in the state of Illinois, it was, and there was a huge issue with some of the teachings and the curriculum surrounding that in the Chicago public school system. But it still is a conversation, right? It still is something that is coming up. It's something that I seen today at work. A parent came in about something else, outside about something else, and because she was in front of a staff member, she brought it up. Why are you guys teaching my children or bringing up non-binary gender pronouns without notifying me? And that is a legit question. That is a legit question on numerous of reasons. So a part of the research, we found out that 54% of U.S. adults said parents should be able to opt their children out of learning about the LGBTQ related topics at school. Roughly a third said parents should not have that ability. Teachers aren't unanimous either. According to research with the Public School Teachers Foundation, they roughly found that half supported allowing parents to opt children out of lessons involving sexual orientation or gender identity, while a third opposed that option. And then when we're talking about the young people, the students themselves, national survey research has found teenagers split over whether gender identity should be taught, and among those who support instruction, how it should be framed. So that's the thing too, right? Sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. So again, if there is a situation where you are an educator in leadership and there is someone in your staff or there are other students who have non-binary pronouns, right? Obviously, you absolutely want everybody in that space to feel comfortable. But when you begin to do it in a way that is sporadic or impulsive, especially if you are a part of that community, then I can see why parents will be offended, right? I can understand it. Again, what I talked about earlier was, imagine your child going to school one year and their teacher is a man, and then when they come back the next year, their teacher is a woman. And there has been no preparation about, again, we're not singling anyone out. We're not telling the principals, the CEOs, nobody to send out an email singling out these specific staff members or students. That's illegal. You can't do that, right? But again, if you want to have this conversation with them to make sure that the environment is safe for everybody, there still needs to be some type of conversation had with the parents, because not every child is exposed to this. Not every child understands it, and not every child is comfortable with it. And how do we know this? Well, go ask the youth. If you sit down and have a conversation with them, some of them will tell you it's perfectly fine. Some will tell you that it makes them uncomfortable, but nobody ever thinks to sit down and talk to them and ask them. At this time, I'm talking about high school students. When we're talking about students that's like K4 through 8th grade, yeah, ain't no way. At any time, if that was the situation, I will automatically remove my child from that school if I was not notified. At any time, if that happened, and my child was, I have a 9-year-old. If this happened at her school and I was not notified, I will pull her out. Absolutely, absolutely would. High school students, it's a little different because some of their peers, right, are that way. Some of the staff is that way. They're a little older. They're learning to become themselves. But it still does not remove the fact that you need to notify the person that carried them for 9 months or whoever their guardian is, to let them know, hey, it's just a courtesy call. We're going to be bringing this up because we want in a safe environment. And if you have not talked to your child about this and you feel comfortable doing so, please do, so that when they come to school, everyone is all on one accord. How difficult is it to have that conversation? How difficult is it to have that conversation? So now let's separate notification from opt-out. If a school emails you on Monday and say, hey, next week the health unit will include gender identity, that is notification. If the school then says you may remove your child from that lesson, that is an opt-out. A parent can support that first without supporting the second one, right? So which right are we actually asking for? A right to know, a right to inspect the material, a right to remove the child, a right to change the curriculum for everyone. Those are 4 different levels of authority. And I think our public debate gets messy because we all always throw all 4 together. My personal opinion, I just believe that we should have the right to opt out. It's the same as sex education, right? It's the same as sex education. Some parents and some religions don't want their children learning this. And that's probably why you don't see it in school as much. I don't know if it still is or not. I just know I had to take it my sophomore year and my freshman year. And my child has never come home and said that they took sex education. But when we did take it in high school, my mother was notified about it. There was notifications sent in the mail to her explaining that we were going to be taking this my freshman and sophomore year. That is not the case anymore. So it's starting to feel like the school systems, obviously, they do what they want. But as parents, we need to be asking our children questions too. We need to be taking a look at the curriculum. Matter of fact, the school systems need to just send out a description of what they're going to be teaching, or at least what platforms, what they're utilizing. Because 9 times out of 10, if you step back and look at it, you probably don't know. Especially once they enter in high school, because they're doing their homework on their own. To all the parents or any guardians out there, when was the last time you talked to your child or the school about the curriculum? When was the last time you've taken a look at the curriculum? And don't say parent-teacher conference like you should be able to. Yes, you should be able to, but they don't always show you what they're teaching unless you ask. You understand what I'm saying? When you go to parent-teacher conference, you talk to the teacher, you look at the grades. Sometimes they show you what they earn on their tests. They talk about their behavior, everything, but they never show you the curriculum. They never sit down and break down the curriculum to you. So now when you go to parent-teacher conference, start asking to see the curriculum. We're not just talking about because of the non-binary. We're talking about in general. What are you teaching my child? I want to know. Yes, you can know based off of homework, and you can know based off of, information you receive. But what is the actual curriculum, and how effective is it? We got to start having conversations with our babies, man, because I'm telling y'all, right? There's a lot of things that's transpiring in politics. And a lot of these schools are becoming very political. I'm not talking about one specific school at all. I'm not taking shots at one specific school, I'm being transparent. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of hidden agendas. And we're not obviously paying attention enough, right? And we can pull up and ask questions. We can pull up to go look at that curriculum, right? We can pull up and ask our child if they're comfortable or uncomfortable. We have to have these hard conversations because at the end of the day, it's about the youth. It is about the youth. Not to mention some of them may be confused themselves. We have to understand what is happening here. They are literally dismantling our entire school system. From the critical race theory, Black history, all of the above, to Chicago public schools teaching, non-binary pronouns to elementary kids. We talked about the education system last week on over 100 Black youth being targeted in MPS and having expulsions and suspensions twice as more than their white counterparts, their white peers. Again, there is a lot that is happening education-wise, not just with the curriculum, but we're talking staff. The amount of staff that is being turned around in these schools is causing issues, attachment issues with your children. If you don't believe me, ask them. If they go to a school where every new year or every semester there's a different staff, there's a different teacher, they will tell you. It's heartbreaking to some of them because they have actual bonds with some of these educators. Some of these educators have made impacted their lives in ways that others can never. And then they look up and then in a blink of an eye, they are no longer a part of their lives. They are no longer a part of their everyday life. And then you go to school and they telling you, hey, this is, this teacher last year was this, but this year this teacher is this, and you need to be respectful. Everybody confused. They don't know what's going on. And then some of y'all look at me like, how dare you talk about this? Well, who else gonna talk about it? Who else gonna stand up for the youth and ask the questions that they want to know? Who else is going to take a stand for the youth and say, hey, we care. Some of us are okay with this. Some of us are not. But the point of the matter is nobody never asked us how we feel about it. I think a better way to do it is to have a conversation and open the room for them to be able to express themselves on how to deal with this. In conjunction with notifying the families, the parents, the guardians, to let them know that these conversations are going to be had. Let's finish this conversation. When we come back, we got to go to break to pay some bills. Brother Z, take us to commercial. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
There's a little time left in the summer, and there's still so much to get involved in as we end the summer safe. Milwaukee youth ages 12 to 18 can tap into free safe summer sites, activities, food, music, sports, creative experiences, and free youth events happening all across the city. There's something to do, somewhere to go, and something new happening every week. Visit tapinmke.com. That's tapinmke.com. Milwaukee, let's end the summer safe and start the school year right.
I'm Sherwin Hughes, and I know the power of Stars and Stripes Honor Flight firsthand. As someone who's been on an honor flight, I can tell you it's a day you'll never forget. Stars and Stripes Honor Flight gives our oldest veterans who served in any location in June of 1975 or earlier a free one-day trip to Washington, D.C. for veterans. Airfare, meals, a coach bus tour, and special flight apparel are all included. It's a day of honor, gratitude, and camaraderie.
Okay.
Veterans who served in the Vietnam or Korean War go to flySSHF.org and ask for an application.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Money and power I got. Couple friends, I don't got a lot. New friend on my right when I'm making a left in a Lambo, I'm bending a block.
1017 The Truth, it's your girl Jazz Tyler. Welcome back. You are officially tapped in. Let's talk about what parents already have. Before we went to break, we were talking about the non-binary pronouns and whether or not parents should be notified, and also just why don't anybody ever talk to the youth and ask them how they feel about these situations. So let me tell you something you do have, and I'm pretty sure some of you already know. Maybe you don't know the acronym, but to some degree you know that you have this. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as we see the guy who runs this country, I don't even like calling him the president, but the guy who runs this country, we see what he's doing with the critical race theory and Black history and things of that nature. We've seen in Chicago that they were teaching kindergarten class about pronouns and non-binary and transgender and all of that stuff, right? So on top of MPS, over 100 youth being suspended and expelled twice as more as their white counterparts, it is important that we understand our children's record, their educational record. So let's talk about FERPA. Right. FERPA generally gives parents rights involving access to their minor child's education records. So the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also commonly known as the Buckley Amendment, became law in November 1974 to protect the privacy of personal identifiable information in a student's education record. However, the courts have been clear that not every document that names or refers to a student is a FERPA record, and have typically limited the reach of the statute in a common sense way to records that have something to do with educational activity. So FERPA serves a twofold purpose. One, to grant parents and students 18 or older access to information in the student's education record. And two, to protect that information from disclosure to third parties without parental consent. So the access to the record applies to any educational institute that receives any federal funding, which includes all public schools and the vast majority of private institutions. On request, a school must allow a parent or eligible student to inspect and review the student's education record, schedule a hearing to challenge the content of the record to ensure that it is not inaccurate, misleading, or otherwise in violation of the privacy rights of the student, and to insert into such record a written explanation by the parents regarding the content of the record. A school may not charge fees for granting access to inspect and review the record. However, FERPA does not require the school to provide copies of a record, so the school may charge a fee for copies made at the school's discretion. So obviously, it sounds like this is something that parents don't ask for a lot. So, and I don't believe that this is the normal record, right? That you can go and, hey, can I get copies of my student's record? This doesn't sound like that. This sounds like something a little bit different. So the disclosure of the education record, the law withholds federal funds from any school with the policy or practice of permitting the release of education records or of the personally identifiable information contained in those records unless the adult student or parent has consented or another exception in the law applies. In other words, if a school has a policy or practice of improperly disclosing students' education records or not disclosing information it is required to disclose, it could potentially lose all federal funding. So the Department of Education has never imposed such a drastic penalty and demonstrating that a school has a policy or practice of violating FERPA is different from demonstrating an occasional violation. So it is crucial to note that FERPA only prevents the disclosure of education records. Nevertheless, schools and colleges cite FERPA as a convenient, all-purpose excuse to deny journalists requests for public records, even when the records have little relation to students' education life, including parking tickets issued to student athletes, the minutes and recordings of public committee meetings, the findings of investigations into academic dishonesty in college athletic programs, the amount of taxpayer money paid out to a family that filed a liability suit against the school district, names of recipients, and complimentary football tickets, right? So again, if it don't pertain to you, if it don't apply, let it fly. But this is something that I would most definitely start asking questions about when it comes to your child, just given the climate of this country, given the state that we're in, with all of the changes inside of our school system, with all of the changes that is currently being made by the guy who runs this country, including the Black history and everything else. And also, too, I talked about this last week. It's also important to obtain this record because whenever your child gets into a situation, you know that obviously they're suspended or whatever the case may be, and they send you this basic letter in the mail stating that they are suspended for X amount of days and they can return on such and such date. However, what they don't tell you or show you unless you ask is the wording that is being provided in that investigation that goes inside of your child's school records, right? And a lot of times they like to use terms that officers use when they are writing a police report. So yes, this conversation it may be a little dry to some of y'all, especially if you don't have children. But again, as an educator, I am telling you how this works. So if your child specifically has ever been suspended or expelled, you need to go request those records so that you can pay attention to the verbiage that is being used inside of their school records, inside of that FERPA file. You have to understand what is being said and what picture is being painted about your child. So, again, anybody can be whatever it is that they want to be, and the world has proven that that's obvious. But we have a higher responsibility, and at the end of the day, it's the children. And ultimately, parents have or should have the first say so when it comes to whatever it is that their child is learning. And if you are an educator, you have an even bigger responsibility, especially if you are a leader, to properly include the families and notify them, right? Without automatically assuming that you can just talk about certain things, because not everybody not every child has access to that information or is exposed to that information. So I want to bring Black history into this carefully. I'm not saying that Black Americans' experience in the modern debate over gender identity are the same, because it is absolutely not. They are not by any means. I'm using Black history to illustrate one point, right? Curriculum decisions matter, conversations matter, because what schools teaches becomes a part of what a society remembers. So for generations, students could complete American history courses while learning incomplete versions of slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, racial violence, Black political movements, and Black achievement. Sometimes information wasn't technically false. It was simply missing context, right? Even today, Americans disagree about the legacy of slavery should have been taught, whether or not it should have. And Pew polling has found parents dividing on whether schools should teach that slavery legacy continues to affect Black Americans today. Note the distinction, though. The disagreement isn't over whether or not it existed. It's over interpretation, consequences, and context. So to me, what it sounds like is that when the system doesn't want us to know certain things, then they remove it. Obviously, right? When they don't want us to be privy, and us is our children, our family, staff, whoever, right? They completely remove it. So actually, I want to go here for a minute. Ask yourself this. How is it that this country has removed Black history from the schools, but is so eager to teach our babies about non-binary gender pronouns? Make it make sense to me, because as of now, it does not make sense. How is it that our babies don't know anything about Black history, right? And not just the simple Black history, but just Black history overall, the real Black history, the movements, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have books. So what they're doing now is creating, elective classes. And electives aren't mandatory. It's mandatory based on just having something else, but it isn't a civics class or a financial literacy class or an English class, right? Which means that unless you take that class, you wouldn't be privy to this information. So the fact that they're not teaching them Black history, but they are teaching them about non-binary pronouns says a lot about this country, about this system. There is no way that our history should be excluded and our baby should not know who they are or where they come from, or the fact that our ancestors built this country from the ground up, but it's okay for them to learn that their teacher was a man last year and this year he's a woman. And what that means. That is a problem. That is absolutely a problem. And again, speaking from a personal point of view as a parent, and speaking from an educator's point of view, I do not agree with the fact that our babies have no information about who we are, but they can tell you about non-binary pronouns, because this is the information that they are getting inside of the school system. If you go up to some of these children and ask them if they know who Malcolm X is, right? They'll probably say, yeah, but they don't know his story. If you ask them about slavery, they don't know nothing about slavery. You ask them about Nat Turner, you can ask them about, they heard of Harriet. But ask them about non-binary pronouns and the conversations that has been being had in gender identity and all of these things, and see what they tell you, right? See what they tell you. When I tell you that our education system is in shambles, I mean that with every inch of my soul. And again, this is no attack on a community. Anybody can be what they want to be, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Some people may like it, some people may not, but at the end of the day, the truth is the truth, not honesty, the truth. We're going to finish this conversation when we come back. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
.117 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. And listen, it is real. We're having a real conversation. Some people may not like it. Some people may be okay with it. But at the end of the day, the conversation needs to be had. We are talking about we started talking about the fact that there are a lot of parents who are upset at the fact that they have not been notified prior to their child being educated about non-binary gender pronouns, right? And before we went to break, I was saying that obviously I understand as an educator that you want the space to be safe for everyone inside of that environment, which is initially why these conversations are had. But at what point do you involve the parent? Seeing how not every child is exposed because not every child is comfortable. Some may be confused. They come to school one year and see their teacher this way and then come back the next year and see their teacher another way. And to think that they don't have an opinion or feel a way is insane, right? And it's also dismissive. And we have to be very careful about that. It's not to say that they are upset or that they disagree or may become disrespectful, but they are human beings, especially when it comes to the older children. One of the points that I made prior to break was the fact that the purpose of me talking about all of this is education in general. And how involved are you when it comes to your child's education? Not just homework, right? When you go to parent-teacher conferences, are you asking to actually take a look at the curriculum that is being taught to your child so that you can understand what is being taught, right? Do you have access to your child's records? Especially if you have a child or a student who has been suspended or expelled. A lot of times in those reports, they utilize the same verbiage that they do inside of police reports. And you wouldn't know because all you receive in the mail is a letter telling you that your child was disciplined and that they'll be out for X amount of days. But they're not showing you that the investigation report that the principal wrote or that teacher wrote includes verbiage that a police officer would utilize inside of a police report. And you don't have this information because you don't have your child's record. So you can request, for those who are unaware, you can request your child's educational records under FERPA and Wisconsin pupil record laws by submitting a written request directly to that child's school principal or local school district office, right? You have to send a signed written request to the school principal or the district office. State which specific records you want to inspect or a copy of, and include your name, your child's name, and their date of birth or grade level. Now, they have a 45-day deadline. If they have an IEP, schools must provide access before any IEP meeting or due process hearing. And You can request it. The only way that your child can is if they are 18 years or older. So to all of my students who are listening, if you are a senior and you are 18, request your records. Request your student records. Request your educational records so that you can fully understand what is inside of that document. Especially if you have had a suspension before. And I also touched on the fact that the education system, obviously, we know is being completely dismantled, right? And what I can't understand for the life of me is why we are so willing to teach our students about non-binary gender pronouns, but not Black history. America is Black history. We built this country on our backs. Our ancestors did. So the fact that we're not teaching that, but we're teaching something else is insane to me. Because one wasn't a choice, the other one was. And again, it's not to take shots at anybody, but it is the truth. And the more we begin to conduct this type of behavior on top of excluding the parents or properly notifying the parents about this information, further proves the point that A, we are state property, B, that this is a system, and C, that no one cares about the youth. There are so many young people who are confused in life right now because of social media, because of TV shows, because of music, because of they have this person telling them one thing and another person telling them something different. And I don't mean confused necessarily in when it comes to identity. They don't know what to believe because they're being hit with so much information that we never had access to growing up. There is literally a society that is dictating an entire generation of kids. And ain't nobody talking about it enough. Everybody's going to start talking about it when it's too late, right? When you start to see 5 years from now, these students working jobs or in their career fields and things of that nature, then you'll see exactly what I mean. And again, I'm speaking from both sides of the spectrum. I'm speaking as a parent and as an educator. There are simply just some things that you have to tell me about when it comes to my child. My child should never come home and tell me that they were learning something that I hadn't even had the chance or opportunity to teach them yet. What gives you the right? You didn't have the decency to notify me and say, hey, this is what we're going to be discussing. I just want to give you a courtesy call that we're going to talk about non-binary gender pronouns due to the nature of this environment. And we have, some staff members, whatever the case may be. And then allow that parent to dictate on how they want to move forward with the information that their child receives. It's inconsiderate. And just because it may be your norm does not mean it's everybody else's norm. Because some things is hard to explain to your child, right? Some things you don't want your child knowing about until they become a certain age. So for someone to take that away and do it because they're running a business, how much do you really care about the kids? Y'all listening to me talk about it. Some people probably pissed, but guess what? These kids gonna talk about it for you when I bring them up here. I'm going to force y'all to listen to them because nobody listens to the youth. Nobody takes what these babies is feeling and saying and give them the platform or a voice. Everybody is constantly making decisions for them. And then when they begin to do the things that they do, especially while they're trying to stay sane during whatever it is they're going through with the pressures of society, nobody sits down and have conversations with them about this. So we're going to. School is back in session. I am going to start bringing the students back on here. Not just my students, but the youth, period. Because it's one thing for me to talk about it, but it's another thing for y'all to hear from the horse's mouth. And again, this doesn't apply to all of them. Some don't feel no way. They don't care. They understand it, right? I had a very good conversation with a student today who was like, Ms. Jazz, I'm okay with it. And they should respect people's decisions and, who they are. I just think they went about it the wrong way. This is a junior who said this. And then another student was like, I'd be mad uncomfortable in that class. But I can't say that out loud because they're going to start, treating me a certain way. These are the things that our children are facing at school, and they shouldn't have to. They should just go to school and be able to go to school. They should be able to go to school and learn and, hang out with their friends and not feel so much pressure. Not feel like they can't speak up and say certain things because if they do, people are going to treat them differently. But most importantly, I think the bigger question is, what is happening to these institutions? Are y'all paying attention? Or are y'all just watching? It's like hearing versus listening. There's something happening that we have to be mindful of, and we have to move accordingly. And if you have relationships with educators, doesn't matter if they attend or work at the school that your child does, you need to be talking to them. You need to start having conversations with them so you can understand. I get it, man. We got a life, right? I work 2 jobs. We have a life. We have so much going on. And a lot of parents don't mean no harm, right? They working trying to keep the lights on. It's hard for them to make some of them parent-teacher conferences. It's hard for them to take some of them phone calls depending on how they work schedule is set up and taking care of the babies. Now, that's not the excuse for every parent, but it is a reality for a lot. Therefore, people like me, this is why I am here. I am here for parents like that. If you don't know, if you don't have an ally inside of your child's school, if you don't have nobody that's going to tell you the truth, know that Jazz Tyler will. I'm going to always give you the real. I'm not going to be biased about it. I'm going to give you my opinion as a parent and as an educator, but I'm also going to hit you with facts and stats so that you can be clear. If you don't have the capacity, time-wise, to be involved inside when it comes to your child's education as much as you would like, especially if you're a single parent, I get it. But find somebody who can educate you and help you. Because the things that our babies are facing is not normal. I don't care what nobody say or how they feel about it. That's the truth. And they don't have an outlet. They do. I'm one outlet. But we have to start having these conversations. We got to go to break to pay some bills. When we come back, let's finish this conversation. 833-212-1017. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha, live from American Family Insurance Studios.
"101.7 The Truth." It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct. If you are just now tuning in, today we've been having a conversation surrounding the education system, but not any regular conversation. We are talking about whether or not schools have the responsibility to notify their parents, their students' parents, about conversations surrounding non-binary gender identity and pronouns, right? And we have a caller on the line. Leah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you so much for calling in. So I have two questions for you. The first question is, do you believe that schools should reach out to your parents, the parents regarding non-binary conversations or gender identities? And also, how do you feel about it?
So I do think the schools should notify the parents because I think it's inappropriate for one. God made us to be female or male, so there shouldn't be no, I'm not a female and you're obviously a female. I personally don't judge, but I feel like that's not okay.
And how old are you, Leah?
I'm 16.
Okay, so this is your personal opinion, and you are you have the right to feel the way that you feel. Everybody does. But when we're talking about the education system, and let's say this conversation comes up to you, right? And no one has asked you or notified you about it prior to it happening. Or if you go to school one day and 1 year and you see a teacher this way and come back the next year and see a teacher a different way, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel confused because I knew you as either Mr. or Mrs. Now you're different. Now I might slip up and say something. You probably get offended. Now it's not uncomfortable, but it is kind of weird.
The point, one of the things that you just said that I want to acknowledge is that it may be an accident. Like you may accidentally call that teacher, what you're used to calling them, and then it becomes you offended me or, whatever the case may be, which is unfair, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think the best solution is about this when it comes to this?
I really don't think there is a solution because people are who they are. And like I said, I'm not going to judge nobody on who they are because I don't think God will like that. And I'm very God-fearing and I love the Lord, and it's just not in my blood to judge someone. So it's not uncomfortable, but it is off.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that are non-binary or trans just need a little God in their life.
Thank you so much, Leah, for calling in. So Leah she says she's 16 years old. And I think, and again, we're talking about a 16-year-old child. So when y'all make comments regarding what she said, be mindful that she is still a child, because I will chew you out if you come at her, right? First and foremost, she's still figuring out, a 16-year-old young lady is still figuring out who she is. Any 16-year-old boy or girl, right? And from what I just heard, the way I interpreted it is not that she's saying it makes her uncomfortable in a sense of she's judgmenting them based off of their decisions, but it makes them uncomfortable because they're caught off guard, right? That's like anybody. If your boss call you and say, hey, can you come to work at, hour early? You bound to be like, hell no. Because you didn't ask early enough. You calling me 30 minutes before I'm supposed to go into my shift. If you would have called me 5 hours early, I would have told you yes, but I'm caught off guard. So again, it's all about communication. It's all about, and I'm glad that she said what she said, not because it's an attack against anyone, but it proves the point that I mentioned earlier. People have different belief systems, including kids. Students have different, youth have different belief systems. So not only are you not respecting that, you're not respecting them as a child, and this is the environment that they are in. Again, we are not saying that we feel a way towards anybody who is trans or a part of the community. We're simply saying, hey, if you're going to have this conversation with these students, you need to notify the parents or notify both them and the students ahead of time that you guys will be talking about this so that parents can prepare their child. Not every child understands what's going on. Not every child is privy to this information or in this environment. When you put them in this space and you tell them that they have to adapt, and then get mad when they don't know how to because you never explained it to them or you didn't even give their parents a chance to explain it. You're just throwing it on them saying, this is the environment, you have to accept it. If you don't like it, so what? And then that leads to mistakes that she mentioned. If I know my teacher to be this way, and this year they're this way, and I accidentally call her Mrs. or call him Mr., and then they're going to want to kick me out of class, when really it was a simple mistake. Because I'm so used to saying this. And then guess what happens? They get sit right on down to the office. And guess what happens after that? That goes into their student file that we was just talking about earlier. And guess what happens after that? When they go to college, that's going to be on their student file as well. You catch my drift? There is nothing wrong with a conversation, period. There's nothing wrong with having a simple conversation, right? And I know it's difficult. It is extremely difficult. But we have to have them, and we have to hold each other accountable. It's not putting nobody on blast. It's not excluding a specific person based off of whatever it is that they want to be. We are simply talking about the babies. Everybody is so caught up in the way systems should be, and you have to respect this and that. Okay, we get it. We know that. But allow these children a moment to digest what it is that you're sending their way. That's all I'm saying. Give them a moment to even understand it. They already have to be around it. Give them a moment to understand it first. And again, this does not apply to every child or every parent or every school or every staff. But for the schools, the parents, the staff that it does apply to, yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, I am talking to you. A lot of our students too that are experiencing this are seniors in 18. Who's going to shut them up? Who's going to quiet them? Who's going to tell them that they're not entitled to ask questions or whatever the case may be? When I seen that parent, I was like, I seen the way she was looking and how she was feeling. And I might get chewed out for this, but I got my big girl panties on. I felt her. In my soul, I felt her. I promise I did. Because our job is to protect our children. If there was a registered sex offender working at the school, or nope, let me take that back. If there was somebody who was, if there was a registered sex offender working at the school, wouldn't you be notified about it? If there was an altercation, a riot or whatever, wouldn't you be notified about it? I think as adults, we know what we should and shouldn't be communicating. And sometimes we get a little too comfortable with titles and power. And we believe that this is the way I want it ran. And again, listen, we have conversations all the time. I talk to my students all the time about their relationships. But not to be in their business, I talk to them about it because I was their age. I try and understand so I can help them learn how to communicate, because guess what? They're going to do what they want to do regardless. The best thing I can do is tell you how to control your emotions, how to control what you're thinking, and how to properly communicate. So yes, not every conversation in school is going to be about the curriculum. I get it. You're there to teach them, but also teach them in real life as well. But I got to say it. We got to stop forcing certain stuff on our babies, man. I'm going to say it. I promise you I am. We have to stop forcing certain things on these children and then wonder why they calling in saying they confused. That's why they confused. Robert, in the chat, you asking a 16-year-old girl what's confusing about it. That's what's confusing. They don't have enough time to digest everything that we're throwing at them. But yet we as adults and educators are still making the point that they need to make the right decisions. Got to do better. We have to do better. Period. So to, again, any parents out there, man, start paying attention to what's going on a little bit more inside of your child's school. Especially if you're someone who runs a strict household. Because again, whether you're Christian, Muslim, whatever, atheist, it doesn't matter, whatever you are. You have the right to whatever you believe in. And if it's anything that goes against that, you have the right to not want your child to be a part of that either. You also have the right to want your child to be a part of that if that's what you choose to, whether it's right or wrong. But at the end of the day, the choice, you should be a part of that. You should be a part of that decision when that information is released. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler. We got to go to break. Do not touch that dial. 1017 The Truth.
At UW Credit Union, our home loans have everything you need for your next big step, including up to $750 off closing costs for all home buyers. And first-time buyers can save even more. So if you're ready to trade roomies for more room, or your townhome for an out-of-town home, UW Credit Union will be with you from start to furnished. UW Credit Union. Apply online today. Equal housing lender. Credit may be limited as required by program. Visit uwcu.org for details.
Every child deserves access to an exceptional education and the opportunity to dream big. On Thursday, October 1st, come together with Milwaukee College Prep at Venue 3 at 3rd Street Market Hall for the annual Take a Stand fundraiser. Your support helps more than 2,000 Milwaukee scholars learn, grow, and build brighter futures through access to a high-quality education. Enjoy food, drinks, and inspiring events while making a meaningful difference for Milwaukee's children. Get your tickets or make a donation today at 2026takeastand.givesmart.com.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
.101.7 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct at the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. If you are just now joining us, we are having a conversation about whether or not schools should be responsible for notifying parents when they are going to or attempt to have conversations about non-binary gender pronouns, right? And this situation came about because there was a parent who came up to the school for one reason, but because staff was there and she finally was able to reach someone, she expressed her concerns about why that took place and she was not notified. And again, we're not blasting anybody, but we're having a real conversation. As a parent, I believe that we should be notified, right? And before I close this conversation, I want to make my position clear because I don't want what I'm saying today to be misunderstood. For me, this conversation is not about telling another adult how they should identify or how they should live their life. That's simply their business. My question is about children and schools. And I believe that parents should know what their children are being taught, period. If a school is introducing concepts surrounding gender identity, non-binary identities, or the use of pronouns beyond he and she, I believe parents should be informed in what is being taught, when it's being taught, and how it is being presented. That doesn't require me to attack anybody. It doesn't require me to defend anybody either. Because my concern in this conversation is not about someone else's personal identity. My concern is where the line should exist between the responsibility of a school and the authority of a parent. Schools have an enormous responsibility. We send our children into those buildings for hours every single day. And we are trusting educators with some of the most impressionable years of their life. That trust requires transparency. And I don't think parents should have to find out after the fact that their child has been introduced to something they consider a significant social, moral, and personal subject. You can disagree with me about that. That's a conversation for another day. And I'm completely okay with that. But here's where I'm landing. Education should not require secrecy from parents. If something is appropriate to teach a child in a public school classroom, then it should also be appropriate to tell them that tell that child's parent exactly what was taught. That goes back to me also putting accountability on the parents. When you go to these parent-teacher conferences, ask to see the curriculum so you can have a better understanding of what exactly it is that your child is learning, especially if they are a child who are in high school, because 9 times out of 10, they don't really need help with the homework. And a lot of the notifications and information comes to you, but not as much for a child who may be in elementary or middle school. But the point of the matter is parents shouldn't have to choose between trusting their child's school and knowing what their child is learning. Give parents the information and let parents parent. All right? Simple. Give them the information and let them decide on whether or not they are okay with their child receiving that information. That is called respect. How much, if you're an educator in a position to, and again, I don't want anyone in leadership to feel like this is an attack, because I am not a person to tell somebody how to do their job. But my advice would be respect the parents, respect the guardians, respect the families enough. It doesn't just have to be about non-binary pronouns. It could be about whatever the case may be, whatever it is. Give them the proper notification, especially when it's something sensitive, because if you don't, it could backfire. If a parent hasn't had certain conversations with their child, especially about sex, let alone about non-binary pronouns, what gives you the right to talk to their child about it first? What gives you the right? You don't have a right. You don't have a right to talk to my child about something that I have not even talked to them about yet. I don't care what society shows them. I don't care. It's still my choice. You don't know what's going on inside of my household. You don't know what I am teaching them. You don't know my religion. You don't know what my belief system is. Give me the opportunity to tell my child whatever it is that I need to before you decide to have this conversation with them and other students in front of everybody. Shout out to, I think it's Belly's Free. Said exactly. Actually check the curriculum. Yes. Check the curriculum. If you go to the parent-teacher conference, they're not going to tell you. They're going to show you test scores and behavior, but they're not going to show you the curriculum. And if you're just tuning in, I also told you guys to make sure that you get your child's educational record. When my son was in 5th grade, some boy kept bothering him, and he got into a fight to defend himself, and his white teacher jumped in the middle of them and ended up getting hit. And she wrote in his file the same thing a police officer will write in a police report. And he was only 10 years old, defending himself. And ain't nobody tell her to jump in the middle. And if she did, you know that you're bound to get hit. But the moral of the story is, what they send you is not what goes inside of your child's records. You need to obtain that. I don't care if it's school. If you're at work, get your employee file. Especially if you're somebody who stand on business. These are documents that you need to have because they follow your child everywhere they go. If they plan on going to college, it follows them. Especially if they're athletes. We was just reading the FERPA and it was saying that there's stuff in, if your child is an athlete, they have stuff in their file about them getting a damn ticket. And we sitting here oblivious. We don't even know. Because nobody is giving us this information. Get in their business. And once you learn that curriculum, research who's on the board, you start coming to these staff members and asking questions. How are y'all teaching my child about non-binary pronouns but not Black history? That would be my first question. Not something that they actually may identify with. something that they may not identify with, and something that some may be uncomfortable with. Let alone you haven't even taken the time to ask my child how they feel about it. Or better yet, you haven't even notified me. This has nothing to do with who people choose to be, what life they choose to live. This is a parent of my oldest daughter is gay and still consider herself a girl. So I'm not being biased. I have these conversations all the time. I know that sounds like when white people say, I got a black friend. I'm just being honest. I'm saying that because I'm speaking from experience. It's nothing I did. It's nothing nobody in our family did. It's nothing that nobody in my household did to make her the way that she is. I still don't judge her, but I also know, and she knows this too, we have conversations about this all the time. You're not just going to tell my child anything. And half of the time, hell, when she was in school, she'd be sitting there like, Mom, they be doing too much when it comes to the non-binary pronouns. And she's a part of the community. They be doing too much. They didn't even tell you. I'll be like, wait, hold on. Y'all talked about what? What happened? And ain't nobody called me and said nothing? Oh, I'm on my way up to that school office. You better believe it. If I didn't even have a chance to have this conversation with my child yet, because she's not ready and I'm not ready, but you, no, that's a problem for me. I will pull up so quick too. So again, just as much as I'm holding educators accountable, I'm going to hold the parents accountable too. Do your due diligence. Start asking these questions. Start popping up to the schools if you can. I understand PTO may be a little bit difficult. Your life, your work life may be set up a little bit differently. But if there's any chance that you could take 1 hour, if you can take 1 hour off of work just to pop up at that school, go do it. Pay attention to what teachers are there, who's running that school. Ask as many questions as you want to. Have conversations with your child and their friends live in the classroom in front of the staff. Do it all. I do it. Listen, I am the queen of that because I need to understand you have my child for 8 hours a day. They have our babies for 8 hours a day. There is no reason why we should not be more aware of what exactly is happening. And to the parents' defense, the only way we can be aware is if we know. So that means to the students, to the young people, make sure you are notifying your parents about certain things as well. A lot of y'all do, but continue to do so. Continue to have these conversations with your parents, especially if it's something that makes you uncomfortable. Again, that's not the story or the situation for everybody, but it has come up numerous of times. So what do the kids do when they feel uncomfortable? They just got to put up with the stuff? What do they do when it makes them feel a way they don't know how to feel? If they accidentally say the wrong pronoun, all hell may break loose. Then what? What do they do? Oh, come in my office and let's talk about it. No, that's not the solution either. Because it's not going to help the situation. And if you think it's not happening, this is a real thing. This is happening right here in the city of Milwaukee. We are really dealing with this in real time. We got to go to break. Do not touch that dial. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler, 1017 The Truth.
Game day starts here. The Atrium Sports Lounge, your new headquarters for every touchdown, buzzer beater, home run, and championship moment. Great food, great drinks, great vibes. Located in the heart of Milwaukee's Deer District at 1110 North Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Milwaukee. Be among the first to experience Milwaukee's newest sports lounge where every game feels like a championship event. Follow on Instagram at Atrium Sports Lounge MKE. The countdown is on. We'll see you soon.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Shema. Did you violate it?
1017 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct, and for the past 2.5 hours we've been talking about education system, and I just want to leave it there, right? So for this final hour, I want to completely switch gears because the man who runs this country, I refuse to call him our president. The man who runs this country currently has made two major moves in the last 48 hours, and one of them just happened today. One sounds almost unbelievable when you hear it first. The other involves something much more serious, which is the security of the electrical system that keeps this country running. So we're going to talk about both. But first, he has officially signed an executive order directing the federal government to rename Lake Ontario one of the 5 Great Lakes. What does that mean? That means that, sorry, y'all, my voice just did what it always do when I be running my mouth too long. But basically, he renamed Lake Ontario to Lake America. I'm laughing because then he just named the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. What's next? Lake, he gonna change the name of Lake Michigan too. I think that dude just be bored. I think he just be waking up bored, trying to find something to do. Don't got nothing to do, so he throw his weight around. Hey, today I've decided to change Lake Ontario to Lake America. Yeah, Lake America. That sounds about right, right? And then yesterday, he declared a national emergency involving America's bulk power system because his administration says foreign-produced electrical equipment could potentially create vulnerabilities inside the American power grid. Now, that's something that got my immediate attention. And we are not talking about your electricity bill being too high, although we need to, because there's articles about that as well, that apparently pretty soon our energy bills are going to increase and skyrocket once again. We're talking about national security, though. We're talking about transformers, generators, substations, control systems, software, remote access, and potentially even equipment that could contain vulnerabilities, allowing somebody outside this country to interfere with critical infrastructure, which they already have because they've been hacking the water systems in like 9 different states at the same time. So it sounds like we've been dealing with this for quite some time. I guess he just decided to finally do something or say something about it of this magnitude. So before we leave today, we are going to go underneath both headlines, and I'm going to start with this whole Lake America thing, right? So dude that run this country signed the executive order today. So this is new. It happened today, August 27th. And I want to explain exactly what happened because social media is probably going to reduce this to just simply jokes and memes. But these are serious conversations. And the body of water we are talking about is Lake Ontario. It's one of the 5 Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. And Lake Ontario sits between the United States and Canada. So New York borders it on the American side, and obviously Canada is on the other side. The dude that runs this country, executive order directs the Secretary of the Interior, working with the U.S. Board of Geographic Names, to take the steps necessary to change the federal American name from Lake Ontario to Lake America. And the order gives the Interior Secretary 30 days to take the appropriate actions. So the federal names information system is supposed to be updated, and eventually federal maps, federal documents, and federal government communications are supposed to reflect the new name. But let me give you a very important distinction, right? The dude that runs this country cannot make Canada call it Lake America. This is where the jokes come in at, because how slow can you be? How slow can you be? That's why I say it's like he just wake up and he be bored and he just like, hey, I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do. I don't have nothing to do with my time. How about we just change the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, right? This is an international body of water. The executive order controls what the United States federal government calls it. It doesn't give the president authority to walk across the border and tell Canada, y'all got to change our maps to Lake America. So we could actually end up in the situation where the United States government calls it Lake America while Canada continues to call it Lake Ontario. And this is where this becomes bigger than just a name, right? Why is he doing this? According to his executive order, the administration's argument is that the United States has made enormous contributions to protecting, maintaining, and economically developing the Great Lakes. The order specifically points to the Coast Guard. It says the United States Coast Guard supplies 9 of the 11 ice-breaking vessels operating on the Great Lakes. The administration also says the United States has invested nearly $4 billion over the last decade protecting the Great Lakes freshwater ecosystem. So his order also emphasized that Lake Ontario's importance to American history, military activity, shipping, and energy. But there's another layer. This is happening while relations between the dude that run this country and Canada are extremely tense over trade. So earlier this week, he publicly floated changing the name while discussing that the trade relationship was deteriorating, and Canada actually got beef with him, right? And today he actually did it. So what he's doing is what he always does. He's being antagonistic. He's antagonizing, and he's having an ego battle and a battle in a pissing contest, and he's doing it because he feel like he can. And this is how beef start. This is how issues happen with trade, with the trading system, with the economy, with wars, with all of the above. Every time his ego is bruised, every time someone doesn't do what it is that he wants them to do, he began to take action. And he's taking action in a way that does not necessarily benefit the citizens of this country, which is a problem, right? And we know this. I'm not saying anything that you guys don't know, but this is the problem. This is a problem. This is a huge, huge problem, right? So Milwaukee, obviously, we're a part of the Great Lakes, right? We are sitting on Lake Michigan. So I know somebody listening right now is thinking, Jazz, don't give this man any ideas about changing Lake Michigan, right? Leave our lake the hell alone. We already have enough going on over here. But seriously, this raises questions about presidential power, national identity, and history, right? And how much does this name actually matters? How much does it matter to history? So, again, I don't know who's advising him outside of the, political advisors he has, because apparently he can't be listening to them. I know none of them fools over there told this man to do that. I know he had to do that on his own, but this is just, surface research. When I seen this, I wanted to speak about it, also about the power grid situation. But as the week goes on, I want to continue researching this because I'm really interested in learning how or what potentially can happen if we have beef with Canada, right? So I know y'all know about martial law, and I've said it numerous of times, right? He's already started beef with so many other countries where it is extremely difficult for Americans to maneuver in and out of, right? Now what? Canada? He did it with South America, Africa, Iran, the Middle East. Now Canada, it's going to get so bad, so much to the point where we're not going to be able to go anywhere. For real. That's why I'm talking about this. I'm not talking about this to make jokes. I'm not talking about this because it's just the latest news headline. Whenever I talk about things, it's because I want y'all to understand the bigger picture and see what's actually happening. He is going to make it so bad to the point where we don't have anywhere to go. And when all of these countries decide to retaliate, we are stuck. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm not saying I know that this is going to happen. These are just simply predictions based off of his ego and behavior. It doesn't make no sense. Doesn't make no sense at all. But the second Trump story is the one I really want you to listen to, because yesterday the president of the United States, but I call him the dude who run this country, declared a national emergency involving America's power grid. And I don't want you panicking, right? This does not mean that he announced that the grid is currently collapsing, right? Although we can never trust 100% of what the media tell us, right? The emergency involves the potential national security threat posed by certain foreign-produced equipment already connected to or potentially entering America's bulk power infrastructure. And when I read what equipment they are talking about, they're talking about transformers, generators, industrial control systems, software, firmware, remote access capabilities, battery storage systems, equipment supporting critical infrastructure. Then I saw the two words that should get everybody's attention: digital backdoors. So we got to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to explain exactly what the White House says that concerns them and what the dude that run this country just gave the energy secretary authority to do, and why artificial intelligence is actually a part of this conversation. Got to go to break. Do not touch that dial. It's your girl, Jazz Tyler.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
.101.7 The Truth. It's your girl Jazz Tyler. We are live and direct, looking to discover and support local businesses in our community. Then make sure you tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. to Truth in the Morning with Homer Blow and Bailey Coleman for What the Business Is, powered by We Energies. Each week you'll hear from local business owners as they share what their business is, where they are located, and one valuable lesson they've learned along the way. We Energies is proud to help power local businesses in the communities they serve. Don't miss What the Business Is every Friday at 8 a.m. only on Truth in the Morning with the legendary Homer Blow and Bailey Coleman, powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local businesses. Before we went to break, I was telling you guys that yesterday, August 26th, the guy who runs this country signed an executive order titled Declaring a National Emergency to Secure the United States Bulk Power System. And here is what that means. That means that the bulk power system is essentially the large-scale infrastructure responsible for generating and transmitting electricity across the country. Okay? We are talking about the backbone, not simply the wires running from the pole outside into your home. His order specifically says its definition includes transmission infrastructure rated at 69,000 volts or higher, while excluding the facilities used for ordinary local distribution of electricity, right? So this isn't an executive order about somebody's neighborhood transformer going out after a thunderstorm. This is just about the major infrastructure, period. And why is this a threat? Well, according to the executive order, the administration believes certain foreign actors could exploit vulnerabilities created by foreign produced electrical equipment. And the White House identifies two major categories for concern. The first one is cybersecurity and sabotage. And that's obvious because they've been hacking the water systems, right? So the executive order specifically raises the possibility that equipment could contain what is called digital backdoors that could potentially allow a foreign country to remotely access the equipment. What does that mean? That means that the modern infrastructure isn't just metal and wires anymore. It's computers, it's software, it's firmware, it's sensors, remote control system, and networks. So the concern is that if it is potentially compromised, technology gets embedded deeply enough inside critical infrastructure, somebody could have another way into the system. So the order identifiers risk include sabotage, unauthorized access, malicious remote action, and supply disruption. Here's the second threat: supply chains. So let's say America becomes heavily dependent on another country for a critical piece of electrical equipment. Then something happens. Let's say we have a war, a trade war, sanctions, everything shuts down, right? The shipping gets disrupted. All types of things start just falling down, falling apart. That is a national security vulnerability too. And that's part of his agreement. So the administration says America's dependence on electricity is increasing dramatically because of several reasons: advanced manufacturing, defense protection, and something we've talked about continuously on this show: artificial intelligence and data centers. AI requires an enormous amount of computing power, and computing power requires an enormous amount of electricity. So as America races China and other countries in AI, right? We're talking about artificial intelligence. The reality and the reliability of America's electrical infrastructure becomes even more important. And this is where I want everybody listening to connect some dots. So national security in 2026 doesn't only mean tanks or fighter jets and soldiers. It means electricity, computer chips, data, telecommunications, satellite, software, right? The entire infrastructure. So what equipment are we actually talking about? And I actually went through the executive order because I wanted to know what the administration had to say about the bulk power equipment. So listen to some of what's covered. Large generators, small generators, backup generators, battery energy storage systems, grid connected inverters, high voltage circuit breakers, industrial control systems, protective relays, metering equipment, and then it goes even further. The government can consider the software and firmware associated with the equipment, remote access capabilities, maintenance systems, update mechanisms, and other supply chain dependencies. So when you hear the story described as the dude running this country declaring an emergency over foreign transformers, understand it's much broader than that. So what can the government do now? Here's probably the most important part of what he just did, or the story overall. What does declaring the emergency actually allow the government to do? The order invokes two major federal laws: the National Emergencies Act and the International Emergencies Economic Power Act, called IEEPA. So under his order, certain transactions involving foreign produced bulk power equipment can be prohibited when the Secretary of Energy determines the equipment involves covered foreign entities and create the kind of unacceptable national security risk identified in that order. So that means acquisition, importation, transfer, installation, But here's where it gets even more significant. The order doesn't only look forward. The Energy Secretary can also impose conditions involving certain foreign equipment that was already installed before yesterday, before the executive order went out. So depending on the risk, the government can potentially require equipment to be identified, isolated, monitored, secured, disconnected, replaced, or removed. Now, the order also requires the secretary to consider reliability and safety before directing equipment to be disconnected or removed, which is important. But you can't necessarily just walk in tomorrow morning and unplug it, right? Nobody should hear national emergency and run home thinking somebody told you to stockpile candles tonight. However, I am. I'm not saying candles, but what I am saying is that I've had this conversation many times, many years ago, and everybody said I was a conspiracy theory and so on and so on. Everybody is so busy buying all of these materialistic items. And it's not that you can't, it's not that I can't. It's just there's so much happening in this world right now, especially this country, that we are not genuinely prepared for. Some of us, right? Everybody's stuck on social media. Everybody's stuck on electronic devices. Everybody is stuck on these babies don't even know how to move without GPS. Imagine if all of that went away. Then what? Come on, man. We're going to finish this conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much, Truth Nation, for rocking out with me today. Y'all can check out one of my old songs that Z is playing right now entitled Shine, featuring Mikey V, produced by Business Boy. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Have a safe, amazing evening. Peace and love.
Gift by any means without sacrificing who I truly am. Cause when that pain hit, I rhyme different. But when I let that pain go, I start to shine different. I won't ever switch up, got many reservations, hesitations, a conversation, avoid annihilation. Had dreams to rule the nation. The greatest creation was me, let them heavens be. I'm the one these cats wanna be. If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. I'm a god, we are not the same. I cannot relate. Tell them get on my level, I'm a rebel, but with the cause, got a shovel for the devils who won't let the power of laws be. See, I'm the truth. If you think otherwise, you a fool. I got a scar on my chest. I got proof. Could have been dead and in jail, but instead I rebelled, and so I made it out of hell. I shall prevail.
Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine. Just like a light gonna shine. Happiness ain't a crime. Don't let your dreams slip away. Baby, now is your time. Fix your crown, gonna shine.
I refuse to dim my light. I'ma shine bright my whole life. I had to fight just to get my mind right. My back against the wall, got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Will I hold it? Will I fall? See, every situation you get a chance to be a victim or a victor. You better seek help, get you a mentor. You better dig deep to the core. Remember that this battle in life is not yours, it's the Lord's. Having conversations with God because he let me beat the odds. I trust him, see that's my ride or die. And we don't do no negative thoughts, no bad energy around this way. It's all positive vibes. I had to question myself if I was ready for help.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha, live from American Family Insurance Studios.
Milwaukee Public School families, the first day of school is Tuesday, September 1st, and there's still time to enroll. MPS offers programs to fit every learner, including bilingual, Montessori, special education, and more. All MPS students receive free breakfast and lunch. Enroll today at milwaukeepublicsschools.org/enrollment or visit MPS Student Services at 5225 West Vliet Street, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you for choosing MPS.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling. The limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely.